All right, you guys, welcome to Boss Bitch Radio. I'm super stoked today. I have another special guest. I know I say that about every guest, but I feel like they're guests because they're special and I want them on to share a piece of their story with you, or if I have experts on as well, that they can share info for you guys. And today we're going to be talking to one of my online coaching clients who is not a competitor yet, a lifestyle client. And we're going to be discussing setting goals, setting New Year's resolutions, what that's looked like over the last year with us working together, what that looks like forecasting for the future, and diving into a little bit about her story. And I think it's important if you're a lifestyle client, meaning you have no desire to compete, to see what that looks like, over the course of a year, the reality of it, and sticking to a program. So today I have Danielle Means, who is a wonderful client that has been working with me since October of 2022. Did you know that?
I did, yes. Our
You
one
knew
year
that.
anniversary recently passed.
Yes, we had our 1 year anniversary. And over the course of the last year, Danielle's lost about an average of 12 pounds. Like we've done the whole, it's not been a linear process down, but you've lost a total of 14 inches, which I don't know if you know that, but I did tally all that up today. And the great thing about our relationship together, even though this is only the second time we've ever spoken, I believe,
Yep.
is that you have consistently done your check-ins every week. You've had 53 check-ins. So that's 53 weeks. I know, right? That's a success in of itself. 53 weeks where you did the thing. I'm sure there were weeks when you didn't, which we'll talk about. And our plans are that we knew this was going to be a little bit of a process because Danielle wants to get on stage. So we started chipping away and setting these little incremental goals, which we're going to dive into. So enough of me blabbing. Let's go ahead and let Danielle take the floor. I would love for you to share some info, let people know where you're located. How did you find me since you're I'm a spoiler alert, she's in Michigan, and how you found me, and, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, your age, occupation, things of that nature, and let everybody know a little bit about you.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, as you stated, my name is Danielle Means. I am 32. I live in Michigan, the Portage area. So that's Southwest Michigan, for those of you who may know. I work in the medical device industry. So I do corporate America is where I am. I actually found Diane through a podcast, through Google.
Okay.
I Googled top fitness podcasts actually for bodybuilders. That point is very important as well.
I love that.
And yes, and your name was on the top 10 list, which I was like really, really excited about. I started listening to a couple of them and they didn't really pique my interest. And then I came across yours and I binged your podcast. Like I started with the first episode and I was like, I need more. And I literally just listened to them all.
I love
Um,
that.
and you were so relatable. You and Amanda Glitters, like your podcast together, is like that was awesome. And you were just so relatable. And so I reached out. I was like, oh my gosh, I love her. I want her to be my coach. And so I found your Instagram and we went from there. Did the body assessment, and even with how the formatting is with understanding me as a client before I had really had any conversations with you. Just that first introductory information website, wanting all the information that you did. It was clear to me that it was thorough. You took everything very seriously. And with the feedback that you provided with oh my gosh, I'm blanking right
The
now.
physique assessment.
The physique assessment. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, with that video, I was like, okay, she's matching her podcast. Like she's just like, it's not fake. Like I appreciate this even more. And as we've worked together, it's just who you were on the podcast, who you were on your Instagram page, like so genuine, so awesome, and such a bad bitch. I was like I want to be like her when I grow up.
You're going to make me cry. It's
It
PMS
was
week, Danielle. God damn it.
you're both like what?
I know. I know. It's
Um,
great.
Yeah. And so for me, that's what I love the most because, and I don't know that I've talked to you about this necessarily, but I've wanted to compete since like 2015. So I've like since I was in college for a long time now. And around that time I would hear diff like see other people's like Instagram stories, kind of almost see them their bragging rights about the what they had to go through to get to where they were. And
Hmm.
for me, it was just kind of around that time, like I was like, you know what? I love health and fitness. I love being in the gym, but that is not what I'm willing to put my body through to get on stage. And then for some people, I just remember when you have the mindset of a competitor, um, and this is not for everybody at all. This was just me, your average gym goer. When you would listen to some of the other competitors on interviews, um, the way they would talk about like the normies, right? It was very discouraging.
Mm.
So it
Say more
was like,
about that.
oh, so it was like almost in the sense of we would never be good enough as a normie to get on stage
Mm.
because you're not like I'm not willing to do 4 or 5 hours of cardio or like for some reason that should be healthy or like the mental in that capacity or even just saying like oh this person is she's overweight so she'll never get on stage and that was so the 2015 2016 era. I heard more about that and more from the interviews that I would listen to almost like body shaming women like myself currently right now
Mhm.
who we are overweight. So while I wanted to compete at that time, there wasn't enough positivity, not enough like, yes, you might be overweight, but that won't stop you from competing, or, you know, you don't have to do 4 hours of cardio. Like you just might have to have a longer prep or diet cycling. Like it might not be a year for you to get on stage. It might not be 12 weeks, but it might be 2 years. Are you willing to put in the work within those 2 years? There
Right.
really at that time. And again, I'm from Michigan. Like there's like a different community and what I saw, and I'm not saying that that was everybody by all means, but during that time, that's what I heard more of. I heard more of like either I was too fat in a sense. That's how I interpreted it. Let me
Hmm.
also disclaimer, that's how I interpreted it. To get on to ever think about it, or the other hand was just I have to be willing to put my body through hell and back to get on stage. And so at that time, I was like, yeah, no, thank you. My gym sessions 3 to 5 days a week. I'm good. I still considered myself like fitness has always been a lifestyle for me. Like, but that's where we're gonna stay. And then fast forward to 2019 is when me and a friend of me and a friend we were like, we're gonna compete. Like, forget everybody else. We're gonna do it. She knew someone who was a coach, and that coach at the time was training us in 2019 to be figure competitors. She had competed as a figure competitor. And so she was like, well, I'll take you guys on as like a side.
Hmm.
And she had other clients who she was training, but that wasn't her main priority. And then you fast forward to 2020, 2020 happened. And then we no longer had a coach. Life got real lifey for me in 2020. Um, and so I gained about 60-ish pounds in 2020. Um, and then I was trying to lose the weight and like me by myself was not it. And so that's when I really started, okay, health, let's get back to healthy. Let's Google different podcasts to like help me get back into the zone. And then that's when I came across you and I was like, this is my girl right here. Like let's go.
Yeah. No, I love that. But just to kind
Yeah.
of touch on what you had mentioned, earlier about the info that was accessible to you in that like 2015, 2016 era, where it was like, it sounds like if I'm hearing you right, it's like hardcore, like, like let's just glorify the grind and the suckage and like, that let's wear it as like a badge of honor and like normies or, people who are overweight can't do this type of thing. They don't have the discipline. I also think too that a lot of times the reason why it's packaged like that, at least in my opinion, is because no one wants to hear this is going to take you 2 years, right? That no one wants to do that. No one has the patience for that. Everybody wants like, oh, well, this coach says I can do it in 16 weeks. And then they are doing, you know, 2 hours of cardio a day and things like that because you have 16 weeks and the body does not work like everything else that's instant around here, right? Like instant gratification and all the things. So to that, I do agree with you where I do see that still happening now with people, but I'm just like I think you probably listened to the podcast, so I'm sure you've heard me say it sounds like I'm trying to talk people out of competing. It's really not that. I'm just telling you the realistic approach that's going to be the most enjoyable and sustainable and not have the worst repercussions after you compete because I've done it always, all different versions and have all the experiences and seen people do it too. So yeah, it's definitely different.
Yeah, and I think with that too, it's when you have, and I also think too, for some women, when you are either in sports from all of high school and college, like it's easy to get on. Let me not say that. That's not true. It's, I would say the process won't take as long as somebody like myself who like sports, no thank you. My parents told me in high school you could either get a job or try out for a team, and I got a job. Like
I
it
feel
was
that.
not my yeah, I was like, you know what? No, sports are not my jam. And so just having that understanding of, all right, you want to get on stage? Cool. It's these 12 to 16 week preps that some girls are, they're able to do that and they'll look great on stage. Me, my body, absolutely not, not, not happening. And so there wasn't exactly to your point. I did not hear often enough women taking a year or 2 years to get on stage.
Yeah.
And again, it's just all from my perspective and my point of view of my journey to where I am now. So,
Yeah. Now take me back to the physique assessment because
mhm,
I haven't rewatched it.
yeah.
When you watched that, what was my recommendation to you at that time? Do you remember? Like
For
distinctly as far as the journey and you competing and things like that.
yeah, um, so I would say the first was that you let me know that you thought based off of my body type that I would be in bikini. And then it was funny because, and the reason I laugh is I can't remember, and I should have watched it right before this. I can't remember your exact wording, but you were complimenting my glutes because my like the shape of them, and I was just like, I don't know why I felt like such a badge of honor, but I was like, yes,
Yeah,
I've
you have
got
great glutes. Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, my coach thinks I have great glutes
Mhm.
already. Like it was, so that was also really cool to hear because as a woman, you're very self-conscious. And so it was really nice because the physique assessment was one, this is the category. Um, I was very self-conscious submitting those photos because I had not looked at myself like that in some time.
Mhm.
So your critiques or your I shouldn't say critiques, your overall assessment was very positive. It wasn't negative. It didn't make me feel insecure, anything like that. Honestly, it made me feel very empowered, which
Good.
I thoroughly appreciated. But it was very much okay. You it's going to take you about a year, depending on what goes on in your life before you're getting on stage.
Mhm.
And in addition to my physique, it was also, I haven't worked with you before. I don't know who you are. I don't know how your body responds. There are other factors aside from just the way your body looks, to determine how long it'll take you to get on stage, which
Mhm.
is also something that I thoroughly appreciated, as well as that you wanted to take the time to get to know me and get to know my body before we even have the real talks about even getting on stage. Like, let's get to know each other first,
Hmm.
and then let's take that next step. So, yeah.
I love that. Well, that leads into sort of the next phase of this
Yeah.
topic, which is the goal setting that we had to do to kind
Mhm.
of plan this out, right? And I think it's important because on the topic of like setting New Year's resolutions, which is right around the corner by the time this episode airs, it'll be just a few weeks before the new year. And a lot of people are looking to set goals for 2024. And I feel like this year, this will be, I'm be going into 3 years of podcasting, but this year specifically, I am so fired up about telling people do not just say, I'm going to join the gym as a goal, right? Like that is not a goal. That is just an action that you plan on taking, right? I'm just going to go to the gym. That tells me nothing. That tells you nothing about what your focus needs to be to achieve what you want to achieve, right? And I think what we're doing together, as far as you and I, can serve as inspiration for those that just say, I want to join the gym, right? So I know that we have put you through, me, but we have put you into a few cycles of dieting and maintaining and some refeeds and things like that, to intentionally avoid diet fatigue, to make sure your metabolism is set up properly. So when it is time to compete, you're not living on like 1100 calories or something crazy already, because that's a red flag, FYI, anybody. If you are
Yes.
living on 1100 calories and then you want to try to go into a prep, you're going to be miserable.
Mhm.
And priming you for that bigger goal. And I know we've gone through different diet cycles and diet phases. I think the lowest, as far as my records go, that we got you in, as far as calories in the last year, was 1400. But
Yeah.
that was not for long extended durations of time, right? It like
No.
there's peaks and valleys.
Mhm.
So when people want to set goals without a plan, it could be a train wreck, right? They don't stay on track. So do you have any experience with that personally? Have you ever just said like, I'm just going to go to the gym, or do something without a coach or an accountability or something like that? Are you guilty of that as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Over the year, oh my gosh. So the first coach that I hired was 2019. Before that, I never had a coach before. I was definitely one of those people who, I personally, I would usually get my gym membership a couple months before the first of the year, right around when some of the um, deals would go on.
Hmm.
Just because, as we all know, because a lot of people have their New Year's resolutions the beginning of the year, gyms are really, really crowded.
Very.
Yeah. And so I learned that it only took me one New Year's resolution to realize that everybody does that. And so let me at least try a couple months early. And
Hmm.
so this time of year, usually people are not in the gym. They're,
Yeah.
enjoying the holiday season. So I would always start the beginning. And then, especially living in Michigan, wintertime hits, we can get 5+ inches of snow, sleet, whatever the case may be. And I am a morning gym goer. So I'm getting up anywhere between, I think I've gotten up as early as 2:45 and 4 a.m., kind of depending on the day, um,
Wow.
to go to the gym. Yeah, to go to the gym. And so early on, I would start in October, November, because I knew that come those January through March months, there are the times when like the snow is coming down. I'm not going out in that weather. Like that's not worth it.
Hmm.
So I would try and do that. I would backpedal. So I'd start fall, late fall, go, and then that's probably right around the time I would usually fall off during the winter time because it's like, these road conditions, not risking my life to go to the gym.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah. And so then that's when I would fall off usually. So I'm doing great, and then snow hits. And that would be my excuse, even though snow gets cleared. It's Michigan. Snow plows are out. Like,
Hmm.
Danielle, the roads are clear. You can go. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going. I'm not going. And so that would be my yo-yo with the gym. And then the food was pretty much the same. When I'm going to the gym, my food stays consistent. It's for me, it just goes hand in
Hand in hand.
hand.
Yeah.
And so the moment I stop going to the gym, that's when I start getting, when you go to the grocery store, that's when the Oreos come in. That's when the chips
Hmm.
come in. It's like, all right, well, it's snowy out. I'm not going anywhere. So
Comfort
let's
food.
just exactly
Hmm.
comfort food TV. Let's do that. So I have always been guilty of that, and I'm an emotional eater. So stressing at work, I'm grabbing chips, I'm grabbing Doritos, I'm grabbing donuts, I'm grabbing whatever I can possibly grab. Or if there's alcohol, I'm drinking.
Hmm.
So, and I was the worst, and I've gotten a lot better since working with you.
Yeah. That was
And
going
I
to be
think
my
that,
next question. It's like you already knew what I was going to ask you. Like, how is, not to
yes,
interrupt, but
no,
just
yeah.
to kind of give you some context of what I was going to ask you. And honestly, not even necessarily like working with me, but how is it different now that you are working with a coach, right? Like having a program. And this is for anybody who's, again, just going to say, I'm going to join the gym. It's like having a program. How has that helped you stay on track?
Oh my gosh. It is so amazing how it's made me stay on track. And I would say really is because the difference between having a coach and not having a coach holds you accountable, and you're not able to lie to yourself versus when you don't have a coach, when you don't have anybody who's holding you accountable, you can easily lie. Like my fitness pal, just like I traveled this past weekend for for Thanksgiving,
I
right?
saw your check-in, girl.
I was gonna say,
I was like, we
did
gonna talk about that.
I was gonna say, I did not lie. Why? Because I knew my check-in photos were gonna show that I indulged. Like I did. But if I didn't have an account, like if I didn't have a coach in this example, I would have eaten a lot more than what I did.
Yeah, because it's
And
like a few pounds. I'm like, it's fine, Danielle. You'll be fine. You're going to get back to your food. And next week, you're going to be like, oh, I stressed for nothing. Like, it's going to be fine. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's okay. One, well, it's holidays, so I do want to put that caveat. Thanksgiving, obviously, you have food and you have great time with your family, but I think in that sense, there's a difference between saying, "Oh yeah, well, I only had one slice of cake," right? Versus like if I don't have a coach, I would go up and I would have like 4 or 5 slices of cake. Like because I love my sweets. So when it comes to
Hmm.
Thanksgiving, I can do like a small one plate, no problem. It's the desserts that will get me every single time.
Yeah.
And so I think really with that, it's that accountability piece. And I'm not able to lie to my lie to myself
Hmm.
because one, it's the like documenting everything in my fitness pal. So it's like it's harder when you're talking about like a Thanksgiving meal, but like on your day to day, did you have 2 rice cakes or did you have three? Rice cakes are very small, but in that sense, like, did you have a snack accident
Hmm.
or did you stay on plan? And before having a coach, I was not tracking my food like that. Or if I was extreme. So I've done the Atkins diet before. But then you stop doing the Atkins diet and what happens? You gain all the weight back and then some.
Yeah.
So like this has been the best experience because not only have I had somebody to hold me accountable, it's also helping me with portion control, understanding what foods that I have maybe more of a sensitivity to, and understanding what foods like keep me fuller longer.
Yeah.
So I think that that has helped a lot along with variety.
I love
Um,
that.
so yep.
Yeah. And then the next thing I wanted to sort of touch on with this topic, as far as like having somebody to be accountable to in a program and things, is that working with you over the last year has been great. You've been on it. You're always like honest and you share all the things that are going on. And it's funny because I think I said this in a check-in video to one of my clients last week, is that I've never met them. I think I've been had 1 or 2 Zooms with them over the past year, but I feel like I'm a part of their life because they're sharing in their check-ins about things that are going on, right? Which is super important, specifically to what I'm about to mention now, which is you've had a recent uptake in like work stress, right? Like hours and things like that, where you've been spending a lot of time at work. And every week I'm like, okay, are we going to the gym yet? Okay, how's Danielle? You're going to kill somebody. Because you had some weeks where like there was no gym happening. And so I'm curious as to if you weren't working with a coach and you had this high period of stress and you just stopped going to the gym, how long that would have continued, right? Like, would you have just said, oh, screw it, I'm just going to wait till January 1st because I'm work stressed and I'm not like, now I'm eating crappy, work is crappy, because it tends to like compound, right? One thing after another. So I would love for you to share a little bit about that in terms of how having somebody that's like you're answering to really is like, I'm investing in this thing. My coaches has this expectations and I need to just get back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let me see, where do I want to start? So we were in a cut during this time, during when it started. And essentially, so this started in July. We're going on 6 months now.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially what happened was, long story short, I was expecting work to get crazy. I wasn't expecting it to get as bad as it has gotten. And that's, other factors that we couldn't really account for. And so I went from like 45, 50-hour work weeks to 80 plus hour work weeks. And so during that time, I was like, the amount of times I was like, you know what? I am just going to email my coach and just say, girl, I am so sorry. I'll see you next year. Please keep my spot.
I
It's nothing
felt it.
personal. I
I
was
was like,
like,
it's coming. She's gonna tell me, and I'm gonna be like, girl. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And it's funny because I was actually conversing with my mom about it because I was getting so stressed at work and then she asked me, she was like, is that going to be good for your mental health, or is it going to make your mental health worse by pausing your coaching until you get through this?
Good
And
job,
I was
mom.
like, I was like, oh, okay. She was like, yeah, it kind of feels like a cop out to me. I said, wow. Oh,
I would That's
oh,
something I would say. Yeah, that's
yeah.
great.
I was like, okay, shots fired, mom. That's
Mhm.
fair. Okay, I'll keep her. But and let me tell you, hands down, the best decision I had because it one being able to be open and honest with you because there were weeks, maybe probably months where I just said, "Hey coach, didn't make it to the gym this week. My eating like and I tell you right now, if I didn't have you as a coach, I would have eaten the pantry. I would have had fast food every single night. I would have gained another 70 pounds just from stress eating. But like having that accountability, that prevented me from, I think it was like the first month of the launch, they were bringing in donuts, bagels. I feel like they felt so sorry for us that they
And
were
they were
like,
trying to
let,
keep you sugared up so you could keep working.
yeah, exactly.
They aren't stupid.
They were like, all right, how can we help? And then it's like they had pops. So they had like Pepsi, Mountain Dew, like not the diet, like the real stuff. And so it was one of those situations where if I didn't have that accountability, and it would have just been mindless, like, you know what, I'm stressed right now. I just let me grab a Pepsi real quick and let me grab some chips, like not
Mhm.
even thinking about it. But because not only did I keep you, but I also was so transparent and honest with you about everything that was going on. And your responses to me every week were just encouraging. And for me, because I mean, it's going on 6 months. And I don't think that I've had, or I may have had one day where I've worked out 5 days, but
One
like
week. Yeah.
since, yeah,
Mhm.
there might have been one week. Thank you. But like Yeah, since July, my gym has not been consistent. It's my check-in one day this week, none, zero. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Um, and your responses as my coach, you've just been so encouraging and just that, Danielle, take care of you. You're getting less than 4 hours right now of sleep. Can you at least try and get five? Like, can
That
you
was all
do
I cared
something?
about. I'm like, screw the workouts right now. Girl, you need to sleep. You need to sleep because that is the foundation for how you're going to show up at work and how your cravings are going to go. And all, it's so imperative for you to function 80 hours with your brain that your body's rested. I don't want you sacrificing sleep to get up and go to the gym when this is the season that you are in your life. And I think something that is a great takeaway here that your mom said to you is, in how I interpret that, is in a period when you're highly stressed, you're super busy, all these things, it's easy to just say, oh, well, this is just making me more stressed out because I'm not doing the thing, right? Like as far as checking in with me and coaching and stuff. But the flip on the perspective of that is, how about you utilize this as a sort of safety net to kind of get you through this period, because your default settings will take you back to your old bad habits, right? Of, I'm just going to eat the pantry. I'm not going to start working out until work slows down, or, whatever. So it's kind of kept you on the hook a little bit for your own self care, when the easy way would have been to just it be a cop out and be like, I'm too busy, da 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 da. Right. Because I was there. I was like metaphorically like holding your hand through the process and not, making you feel worse about the situation. Like, I'm a mom. I've got kids. I've got grandkids. I've have life experience. I know that life is going to happen regardless if you have fitness goals, right? Your fitness goals are going to be there. So I'm glad that you pulled through, and we're the light is at the end of the tunnel now. Yeah, I love that. So let's talk a little bit about the way, the old Danielle versus the new Danielle. Now that you have accountability and a goal, like we have a goal setting strategy in place, right? We know what our end goal is, and we're sort of, moving through these waves of diet cycling and things like that. What were your fitness or gym habits before you had a plan, in terms of your consistency and things like that, and what you would do in the gym versus now?
Yeah. So I I'm I've always been the type of person where I need some sort of something to keep me going in the gym. So I I used to print off bodybuilding.com.
Mm-hmm.
They had like their 12-week challenges. So I would print those off, and then I would go through those 12-week challenges, and I think it was like maybe 3 to 5 times a week. They would have certain, like, you have your upper body day, your lower body day. So that's what I would do. And then once the 12 weeks were over, I pretty much just would cycle through. Um, and then like I personally, I've always loved lifting. So that's something that beforehand and now has stayed consistent. I would say the biggest difference is that now, um, my workouts, which thank you very much, they're more focused to help build the shape of my body.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas beforehand, I would do like back and biceps, chest and triceps,
Mm-hmm.
one lower body day. And then it was pretty much cycled. I think the most that I had was like a two lower body days where it'd be like, I don't know, quads and calves and hamstrings and glutes or something, some sort of
Mm-hmm.
mix along those lines. Whereas now, especially after us working together for a year, I have a better understanding of, lower body needs to be trained more than once or twice a week, and then how the split should look. So I would say that has definitely changed, and I honestly, I really enjoy my workouts more now that they're tailored to sculpting the shape of my body.
Mm-hmm.
And like the it's been more Now there's definitely a noticeable difference in the way my body looks as we've been working together, versus beforehand. It was like more along the lines of she looks like she might look like, does she look like she goes to the gym, or or is it like, the memes where it's like, I look like I go to the gym, or do I look like I eat cake? Like, which one is like which
Which
one
cake
is
is
it?
great, but yes, I
Which,
know what you
oh my
mean.
God, I love
Mhm.
cake. But yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, prior to, I would say it was just me doing any workout that I could find offline without really having that true understanding of the mind muscle connection,
Mm.
versus now, which you have that mind muscle connection. And then I must say, I'm really liking the way my body is turning out right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, it's exciting to see your body morph. I love that. Now,
yeah.
when it comes to your diet, I know you mentioned you tried Atkins before. Did you ever work with somebody in terms of like a coach or something to keep you on track with the nutrition piece of it? Because I think like anybody can download workouts, right? Like you can, like you said, download things and you can kind of piecemeal and figure things out. But the real magic, at least in what we do in coaching, is the nutrition piece of things, because that's where the most change happens is with your food. Had you ever worked with anybody before in terms of a coach and accountability in this kind of capacity where you're like given direct instructions?
So when I had my first coach in 2019, she was meal prep based. And so that was primarily me just more so being lazy. And it was like, just give me a meal plan and I'll follow it. And so that's what she did.
Hmm.
And but like prior to that, no, it was always like me just, I know that, you need to eat less calories than you burn,
Hmm.
something along, yeah, and you'll lose weight. So I would try random stuff. Like I did the Atkins, and I would do fad diets and then fall off the fad diet wagon and then gain a whole bunch of weight because I emotionally ate a lot at the time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I know now we work, because meal plans, they get a bad rap, and I understand. And I used to be like a hater of meal plans and like, oh my gosh, this is teaching people how to have an eating disorder and things like that. And I was super like on my soapbox about that. However, having spent more time like coaching women and seeing how information is out there about nutrition and all the things, is that sometimes a meal plan, I like to do more of a hybrid situation where you have some flexibility and stuff, but I think it's a great way for people to understand when they're first getting started what like whole food diet kind of looks like, because we're so far removed from that. I feel like just with like convenience and fast food and restaurant food, that a lot of times if people are super super new, it's helpful. But to your point, it is great to start to learn more through the process so you don't feel like you're eating chicken and broccoli every day. Like I will no, do not do that to me, so it's good to know. But I think seeing your progress with, I think we've done some meal plan stuff too before. We've just sort of sprinkled that in and done macros and stuff. That you've done a really good job. And I always open up your nutrition logs and I'm like, Groundhog's Day, love it. You know, Danielle's food logs look great because it's like just a carbon copy. It's like working. It's probably convenient for you to just not have to think about a lot of things. And then I think I've asked you about like your meal prepping routine and stuff like that. And you're like, I just take care of it. What Sundays, I want to say, where you
Yeah.
just try to get some meal prep stuff done. But yeah, super important that people know that yes, like a training plan is great. And also like you can print off a meal plan off the internet. But if you don't have somebody that you're like answering to, I know that sounds crazy because we're all adults here, but if you can't do it by yourself or you've proven to yourself that you never could, how is this next time? How is New Year's 2024 going to be any different? You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree, which and even with meal plans, which I appreciate this a lot about my first coach, was that she took the time to, because at that time I was more active than I am now, just because my job allowed me to have more free time than I do right now currently. But like I was doing, which oh my gosh, like those boot camps. So I would do like boot camps, I would do weight training, I would play volleyball. Um, I was at the time trying to run a half, well, prepping to run a half marathon.
Oh my
So I had a
goodness.
lot, yeah, I had a lot going on. Granted, that was one half marathon, then done. Like, not
You're
doing
like,
that.
not for me. I
Not for me, not for me. I did it,
feel that.
cool. Let's go bodybuilding. But with her and her meal prep approach, she didn't give me the exact same thing every day. What was nice was that with those meal plans, she catered them more along the lines of how active I was or what my routine was. So like if I knew I was just going to do a run, my only workout for the day was a run, then I had one meal plan to follow. If I was going to be going to the gym and playing volleyball and doing something else, then that day I had a different meal plan to follow.
Hmm.
So with meal plans, I really and I think I was spoiled because you do hear a lot of people where all they're eating is chicken and rice and like that's it. She
Hmm.
took the time to like provide like I sent her all of the foods that I like. She came up with a bunch of different meal plans for me based off of my activity level for the day.
Yeah.
Um, so she did a really good job with that, which I thoroughly appreciated. But at the same time, I think we were working together for 6 months, and so it was like 6 months of meal plans a sense.
Hmm.
So like that portion was still hard. Whereas working with you, we've sprinkled it in, but then at the same time, you've given me the freedom of macros where it's like, hey, here are your targets, like hit your targets.
Hmm.
And on my side, because I understand like whole
Yes.
foods and the importance, it's easy for me to go in there. Okay,
Right.
Monday through Friday, it'll probably be the same because I'm going to into the office. So easy peasy. Weekends, I'll have a little bit more fun with my foods. But
Yeah.
for my schedule, it just makes more sense to do more of a meal plan style than like trying to switch it up every single day.
Yeah. And it's worked. I feel like it works pretty well for most people who are very comfortable with tracking macros when you get to that point, because like there's been instances I know for you, for example, where you've had trips out of town or things like that. And I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. You've got this trip planned. Um,
Mhm.
these are your macros. Of course, I'm going to put my coach's hat on and say, like, do your best to do whole foods, da, 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 but I know you're human. You're probably going to have a drink or whatever. And it's like, it is what it is. You come back and like, we're just talking with my hands. We're just like back to right back to where we were, right? And it's not like the whole weekend threw you off and you just now you're, oh, I got to wait till the next month to, to get started type of a thing. So, yeah, no, it's been really great. And I would love to shift into um sort of what in your words, how would you describe what online coaching is? Because I think people get confused with that term,
Mhm.
and I think I have my way of how I would explain it, but if you were going to tell your girlfriend about what it is that you do, like how do you explain that to somebody?
Ooh, okay. I would describe it as an accountability partner. Really, it's having someone to truly hold me accountable with that I check in with once a week.
Hmm.
Um, and for me personally, I enjoy having an online coach because um one, it's the weekly check-ins. So I know once a week I need to send certain information for you. But it honestly it doesn't, I guess there's really no excuse. I think for me, I tend to make excuses for like why I can't go out and do something, or especially now, it would be easy for me to say, oh, well, coach, I'm sorry, I can't make it to the gym today because work is going crazy. Whereas with an online coach, it's having that accountability that's not disruptive to your day-to-day life. I guess disruptive is probably not the best choice of words, but I know for some people, the convenience of it for me
Hmm.
is what I really enjoy as well. And
Right.
two, you've always been very open. So if I need to reach you outside of like my daily check-in, I can let you know. If I want to schedule a call, I can let you know.
Most
There's literally
definitely.
no excuse with an online coach where it's like,
Yeah.
oh man, like the sitter canceled on me, so I can't make our gym session, or I can't go into the like for nutritionists, like
Hmm.
if you have an appointment, like it's easy for me, in my opinion, it's easier to cancel on something like that versus when you're online. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you've done a really great job with, navigating and checking in and just asking the questions. And I'm always like, if you need me, you know where to find me, reach
yeah.
out, you're like the easiest client. You just, yes, ma'am. You just do what you're told. And then
Yep.
when you don't, you're like, sorry, it'll get better. I promise. I'm like, okay, I'm here. We're in it together. But no, I'm really excited to see where our journey together lands in 2024. I know we have competing on the horizon, and we again have had to do this in waves. And this is something that I want to just make sure everybody like takes home as far as a takeaway. It's like if you want to hit the stage or you have a big weight loss goal or something like that, it's be patient with yourself, right? Like you said here, you had or you're still kind of in this phase with work being crazy and it's not going to be perfect. And if you can have somebody to help you through that period, it keeps your momentum going. It keeps it even on a low simmer just until you're ready to go all in again. But you won't have taken 10 steps back, right? So I think that's where we're at right now in 2024. Hopefully I might have to go talk to your boss or something. I don't know, but I'm like,
Oh my
excuse
gosh.
me, you're getting in the way of our body goals. You
Oh
send him
my
this
gosh.
episode. Yeah, but
Like, hey, here you go. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And then one last question I have, well, probably not last, but has the change in your lifestyle the last year, has it impacted any of your close relationships that you can think of? Like friends, family, significant others, coworkers, anything like that, where you're like either positively or negatively? Because I ask that question a lot because I think it's important for people to know that sometimes when you decide you want to take on a goal, that some people aren't really too thrilled about that and they have their opinions about it. It sounds like your mom's on board, which I like her already.
Yeah. So both of my parents, like, they're both on board. It's funny because they're pretty much healthy eaters anyways. So like when I go see them, I'm like going over there and saying, "Hey guys, when we used to have like family dinners once a week on Sundays. Um, they were very mindful of when I was on, especially when I was had lower macros, being more mindful about the foods that were there, which was really fun. And as far as like my close friends, one of them, she wanted to compete with me, but then I don't know that she necessarily wanted to actually compete. I think she was just doing it because it was something, fitness was something that we had in common. But she's going more into powerlifting, so I'm super excited to see what she does. But
Fun.
she was in a similar boat where we were both in weight loss. So like it was really nice to actually have somebody else who understood that like when we were going out with friends,
Hmm.
we weren't the ones drinking. Um, but like in my inner circle, it's actually been really nice that I've surrounded myself with people who, when I say I have this kind of goal or like I'm changing up my eating, they have all been like, cool, like awesome. They're not like, why can't you have another drink or why aren't you drinking?
Hmm.
Which is really nice. Uh, it was actually funny. So I think maybe a month into us working together is when my ex and I broke up.
Mm.
And
I feel like I
it was,
remember you mentioning that.
oh my gosh, I literally cried at the gym the next day. I was like,
Mm.
this is so embarrassing. I'm like over here trying to do shoulders and like tears are coming.
I've
I'm
been
like,
there.
guys, it's there. Yeah, I'm like, it's fine. But one, if it wasn't for you, I would not have been in the gym the following morning after like a breakup. That would not have happened. I would have been eating ice cream. I would have been eating, and even the night that we broke up, wasn't eating ice cream. But one of the things that he said, which is not like the extent of why we broke up, but like one of the things that he said is that he had an issue with me changing the way that I ate.
That's
And I
kind of
was just
funny.
like, right.
You're funny. Get out of
I
here.
was like, excuse me now. I was like, okay, obviously there were other like issues for why we broke up. Wish him nothing but the best. Like we're on good terms, but it was just interesting that that was in fact for him an issue because
Mm,
we were long distance. I would fly to see him in DC. And we like before we started working together, I would go, we would drink a lot, we'd eat out a lot. It was a lot of burgers and fries, it was a lot of booze, it was a good time. Um, but I also wasn't hitting my fitness goals either. And
hmm.
so we started working together. So I started bringing packets of oatmeal when I traveled. I would bring tuna packets. I would like, hey, Danielle, do you want to go get a burger? I was like, you'll get a burger, I'll get a salad, or hey, I'm gonna eat this prior to, or I'm not drinking this weekend. And it was very interesting to see like the dynamic kind of shift as I was trying to, for myself personally, I don't want to, I have fitness goals that I have weight loss goals that I have. Um, I am not stopping you and I'm not judging you by any means because I was just doing it last month. I'm changing my goals.
And
And
improving
so,
your health too, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was really, for me, it was really upsetting that it was causing him enough of an issue to bring that up while we were breaking up. I was like, it's like I'm like my guy. Like I'm headed closer to towards 200 right now, like to 200 pounds, and I'm not trying to like I'm I would like to get down, please.
Mm.
So honestly, of everybody with me changing my health, that was the one that was the most disappointing. But I wish him nothing but the best. We're still cool. But yeah, I'm like clearly this is if that's an issue for you, then this is not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely tough. I know I talk about that often with interviews, and I'm always curious as to how lifestyle changes affect, the immediate people in your life. And
Hmm.
uh, most times it's in a positive aspect, right?
Yeah.
The support person is on track and on board, and maybe they're not eating like that, but they're like, you do you, I do me, cool. Like it's all good. It's like saying if you started to date somebody who was a vegan, right? And it's just a dietary preference. Like we can still manage our lifestyle and all the things where, it's or like, what if you had an allergy, right? Or like you were gluten intolerant or something like that, but it's because it's a choice that you've made to improve your lifestyle, your body. Sometimes, I'm not saying this is the case for him, but sometimes that's threatening to other people, or it makes them feel, I don't want to say inferior, but like, well, I don't want to do that. So, is that going to change how you feel about me? There's a lot
Yeah.
of insecurities that come up. I've seen over the years with women and their spouses or their partners when they want to make a transformation of sorts. So, it's not the
Yeah.
first time I've heard it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I,
Well,
and I,
I know that I'm super proud of you. You're one of my clients right now that I am the most excited for in 2024 because like I have most of my clients right now are already either have competed or, they're going to compete and they haven't for a minute or whatever. And you're one of the handful that has never yet that's on my coaching roster. And there's something just so, I don't know, magical about that for me when I get to be the person that takes them through that journey, because I know what it was like for me to do my first show and go through that whole experience. And the holes that I've seen in like coaching with myself personally and making sure that we fill those as we move you through the process. So I'm very, very excited because I think you're going to absolutely crush it once we get into like show prep and all that. Especially because you've had such a desire to do it. And now, like, you have somebody who's like, let's go, let's do this. Right. So I'm stoked for that. Are you comfortable sharing your social media? Because I know that you don't post often, but people are going to want to be like, who's this girl? I kind of want to follow her, keep up with her journey. And I know you're probably a little more on this shy and conservative side, but maybe it will give you a little bit of a, boost of motivation to share your journey, because it's very inspiring for people who have been 200 pounds before to see that like this is possible. I'm going to do it. And like, I'm going to show you along the way. And it doesn't have to be the perfect version of that, right? It's like you're being here very honest. So if you're open to it,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, share your Instagram handle and then we'll link everything up in the show notes too so people can go find you
Yep,
and start poking
absolutely.
at you to post content.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
I
And
know,
this will
right?
help give me that boost to actually start posting more.
Yeah, I love when
Um,
you post your stories every month, once a month.
right.
It's great.
That's my New Year's resolution to
There you
post more.
go. That's an easy one. That's easy.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's D means underscore business.
I
So
love that.
short, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, super easy to remember.
Yep.
Well, in the whole topic of transformation, I always just like to mention too that obviously this is something we do. So if you're listening and you're interested, we are currently enrolling for our 12-week transformation program, which is essentially what Danielle's been doing, but she's just been doing it for a year. We've just been kind of month to month in this process. But the Goddess Body Project is incredibly similar to what Danielle's doing. And we have opened that up for enrollment. We start January 15th. So if you're curious, make sure to shoot us an email, DM me, find me on the interwebs. I'm not hard to find. And we can answer any questions you have. Would love to take you through the process to work with a coach on your own transformation. And it doesn't have to be one to stage, but thank you so much, Danielle, for coming on today. I'm super proud of you. Like I said, we're stoked to see what 2024 brings for you and just keep crushing, my friend. You're doing great.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on today. It's been fun. This was fun.
Yeah,
So,
it was super fun. It
yeah.
was awesome. And I know you're going to inspire tons of women out there who are, again, not sure that they can do the damn thing. And you are clearly doing the damn thing. And you're going to keep doing the damn thing. We're going to do it
I,
together.
I sure am. And anybody can do it. So,
Anybody can do
yes,
it. Yes, ma'am.
please join online. Goddess Body Project. Can't say more good things about it. So, yes.
Thank you so much, Danielle.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.